How did the allotment project start with Wild
So
as it is now?
it was 6 years ago, as part of my interview for Wild.
Yeah,
They said, "What are you going to bring that we don't already do?
yeah,
Like, what's an idea?" And I said, "Well, I think it's really good for people to be outside, connecting with nature where possible,
yeah,
learning the skills to grow their own food,
yeah,
to do all of that, but whilst connecting with other human beings as well, which I think, in the community as it is, the parents we support at the moment feel there's a lack of spaces for them to do that without judgment."
yeah,
And I can completely empathise with that. When I had my boy, although I was older,
yeah,
even when I went to spaces with him, it was all mums, all all of a certain generation,
yeah,
and like the idea of dads being at the ones home with their children was alien, and that's just 12 years ago.
yeah,
So as I came in as a dad's worker, the idea was that we create a space for the dads where they can do that connecting whilst learning the skills of self-sufficiency to a certain extent.
yeah,
But that was down at the other allotment, over the other side. And then as time has gone on, we've got more and more interest in it, and other organisations willing to help us fund it. So we got a little
yeah,
bit of money to then come down here and set this one up, which,
amazing.
we were really fortunate
Yeah,
that we got to set it up as a ready place for the parents to come and start to enjoy, rather than coming to like the likes of the other allotment that was a bit of a wreck and needed a lot of work doing to it. So
yeah,
and a place for them to get outside and just enjoy being outside.
yeah,
um, yeah, so we're really lucky that we got this spot.
yeah. I find being outside with my kids, there's something really special about it. And it doesn't just getting grubby and learning about where your food comes from, I think is really important as well.
And it's free.
Yeah,
I think accessing the outdoors, quite often there's a lot of pressure, I think, on parents to spend money to be in places like
yeah,
soft plays, or anywhere you can spend money, really.
yeah, definitely.
And I think people talk about the current climate crisis, in terms of the current financial crisis. I think it's always been there, for certain people in our community, you know,
Yeah, definitely.
and if you go out and you're having to spend 15 quid and then you buy a coffee, and then
Yeah, it adds up so
before you know it,
quickly.
it's 20 quid gone, and that's a lot of cash, for a couple of hours of entertainment. So
Yeah, you can get outside in the garden. It doesn't matter if it's big or small.
yeah, yeah,
And
and hopefully this will spark a bit of love for that.
yeah,
And we also encourage them, some of the parents, when they come to leave Wild, to stay here as volunteers. And the idea is that eventually, because this allotment space is very new to us, but eventually this space is led by and ran by everyone that uses it,
yeah, that sounds absolutely perfect.
which is really important. And it's a real safe space as well. So as well as the growing space here, we've got a bit of space over there with a bench and everything that we're yet to develop yet. But
Yeah,
because we do a lot of one-to-one work,
yeah,
so I'm not a dad's worker anymore. I'm a what we call a BF worker, a building futures worker. We've got one in
yeah,
every area. And as well as the parent workers, Rosie's a parent worker, we work with the parents that are going through a particularly tough time, whether
yeah,
that's involvement with social care, whether that's suicide ideation, whether that's, debt, or whatever's going on for them.
yeah,
We work with them a little bit more closely in terms of one-to-one, and actually, sitting in a cafe with other people around, or being in your home where you might be the victim of domestic abuse, or
yeah.
everything might not feel as comfortable. So trying to use this space as much as possible for that as well.
That's so cool.
And also, when we do group work, once the parents get to know us a little bit better, and we become trusted people,
Yeah,
and hopefully an avenue by which to get support they might need. So
Yeah. Do you find like if you're working one-to-one with a parent, maybe if you're out here like digging and doing things, it's easier to connect with them and easier to find ways to potentially work with them and help them?
exactly that. So eye contact, is uncomfortable at the best of times, right?
Yeah.
Just like we're doing now, really. We're having a good chat, we're digging, we're looking at what we're doing, which I think just allows for that kind of comfortable feeling of I don't have to look you in the eyes while I'm telling you about the
Yeah.
horrors I'm experiencing, right?
Yeah.
We can do that and it can feel really informal, and actually I'm doing something at the same time which is kind of distracting me, and I think it's long proven, isn't it, that if you're doing stuff and if you're being practical and physical, then actually managing your emotions and lots of the stuff we deal with is very emotional, right?
Oh, 100%.
And yeah, having a space where you can feel those emotions without necessarily going to them and breaking down, and yeah,
Like personally, I find like just like we are now digging and pulling up weeds, I find it really therapeutic.
yeah,
So I can imagine if you're in a really difficult spot and it's just getting out, it's doing something different, isn't it? And
also just not feeling the pressure of the conversation. It can just
yeah,
flow a lot easier and a lot better, especially when there's, we talk about courageous conversations, and if someone's talking about how low they are, if someone's talking about a history of suicide ideation or attempts or
yeah,
self-harm or whatever else, being able to say, are you feeling that way now?
yeah. I
With
think
a conversation that feels just a lot easier and a lot better flowing, when you don't have to make eye contact constantly and
yeah.
stop for a cup of tea. And
I think sort of when you're outside as well and you're digging and you've got your hands in the soil, sort of those feelings of life, those pressures of life, I don't know, but for me personally anyway, they just sort of seem to wash away a bit. And so it's easier to process what you've been feeling.
absolutely, and we find that with parents, because most of the parents we get are like repeat parents that come back.
Yeah,
So once they've and there is a fear even to coming to this, I think, for some people, the thought of connecting with other human beings is a bit difficult.
yeah, definitely.
So but what we find is that once they come and they find their little group, they keep coming back. So
Yeah,
it does come back to connection, it does come back to being with your peers. The parents we support, they don't in 20 years time remember the name of that member of staff that might have helped them do a thing, but they might still be friends with 3 people they were in a group with 20 years ago.
yeah. Well, I think you'd be surprised there. I like, as you know, I was a wildman myself, and I can still remember the name of the worker that was at the St Austell group when I was there, and she had such a big impact on my life. And
Yeah.
I think don't downplay the impact that you guys have on the service users' lives, because
Oh no,
it's
but the whole idea of what we're trying to achieve is connection.
yeah, definitely.
And obviously with the parents we work with a little bit more in a one-to-one capacity, and what we're trying to do is facilitate space, basically.
Yeah,
And we know that lots of the parents we support, we've got like not WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups and stuff like that where
yeah,
they chat, and they all create their own
yeah,
little Facebook groups outside of Wild that are still kind of wildy groups.
yeah, yeah. It's like you were saying when your kids were young and you found that at parenting group, like baby groups and things, that it was all mums of a certain generation. I think even as a young mum, you find that as well as when you're a dad, because it mums are usually quite a bit older than you are when you're a young parent, and
Yeah.
you don't feel
Yeah.
like you fit in. So really does create that safe space where you meet peers in a similar situation to yourself.
Yeah, and
And
where you're
it's
not feeling judged, because you're all going
yeah,
through similar stuff.
yeah, definitely.
I think there is a fear of judgment, and shame is a massive thing that creeps into a lot of the kind of
Yeah,
conversations and stuff we have, along with that feeling of, being judged. The reason lots of them feel judged is because they're feeling shame about certain stuff as well, which is stuff that we have to strip out of the idea of being a young person, right? That you should be ashamed.
yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for young parents, and they do a better job than they give themselves credit for a lot of the time. And
Absolutely.
like
And you know what?
they're
Everyone
so,
struggles. Everyone, doesn't matter what age you are.
oh yeah, I
Um,
struggled with having kids at various different ages,
yeah,
and I think as a young parent, the fact that you've stepped up and you're doing it, there should be so much pride in that.
absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, it's about what, you know, what else we promote at Wild is, you know, creating an equitable start for young
Yeah,
parents. And it's just not there. Um, you know,
giving
and
them the
Cornwall, it gives its own challenges as well, you
oh
know,
yeah,
in terms of
definitely,
employment, in terms of the way the government treat young people,
yeah.
you know. Um,
Eh, well, I don't know. For me, Wild gave me opportunities
yeah,
as well as that peer support and the support from the wild workers. It gave me opportunities, like, well, through gardening, ironically. Like, I set up a little allotment with the other wild mums at the family hub. It was nothing like what you've got here. This is absolutely amazing, but
I've
it did.
heard about the infamous little allotment at
My little Wild Go
St
Green
Austell,
project,
yeah. So
yeah.
that would have probably been the origins of the idea, actually, of having an allotment and the idea of getting your hands dirty and being outside.
Yeah,
Um,
it came out of a conversation with myself and Claire, who was the wild worker at the time, because she knew I loved gardening, and she sort of prompted me to have the idea of let's start using the allotment in the family hub in St Austell. And so it was myself and one of the other mums were the main people who did it,
nice.
and it was great. We used to meet up every Wednesday afternoon, um, and yeah, just we had, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 raised beds, and we worked a little bit with the kitchen in the family hub at the time as well, because they had a little cafe there then.
Nice.
And it was lovely. It was just like a really nice, safe space for me and the other mum to go to.
And that's the idea, right? That being a
Yeah,
parent is just a part of your identity. It's not all
yeah,
of who you are. And actually, you know, I think sometimes when someone becomes a parent, it can feel quite overwhelming and quite all encompassing.
yeah,
But it's
definitely.
remembering that actually, you know, this isn't all there is to me. I can still, you know,
Yeah,
finding the right avenues, go and get an education. I can still
yeah,
go and apply for those jobs. And
yeah,
sometimes it's about building that confidence, building that.
definitely. The volunteering like opportunities that came through when I was with Wild were amazing. Like, so I started, as you know, with the allotment project, and then that led on to me volunteering up at the Eden project, which gave me like experience working in an office as well as outside and with people.
Yeah,
And
nice.
so eventually that meant I led on to paid employment, which was fantastic because I was really young. I was 19 when I had my son. So dropped out of education, didn't ended up not going to university and things. And then yeah, I didn't really know what to do with my life because my plans had all changed.
Yeah.
So the opportunities I got through Wild and the experience I got were completely invaluable because it did lead to me getting employment because I got that experience that I needed for my CV.
And how do you
And
feel about being employed? What's the, what's the, yeah, how do you feel about that?
I obviously it's something you need to pay your bills and stuff, but it gives you that independence and it gives you a sense of pride in what you do and what you have. I think being employed,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's I'm very fortunate that I work in a place where I can be a little bit creative with doing little projects like working with you guys, which is fabulous. I've had all sorts of jobs over the years, and
I think feeling of use in your community is a really important thing.
yeah,
Feeling valued,
definitely,
feeling valuable, you know.
yeah, 100%,
And we can say that, you know, I think there's an old proverb, isn't there, that if someone doesn't feel of use or if someone doesn't feel valued within the community they live in, they'll burn it down, right?
yeah, that's
Um, I forget the actual proverb, but it's something along those lines.
yeah,
And actually, you know, that doesn't necessarily rely on paid employment.
No, 100%.
But you know, the working down the allotment every Wednesday,
Yeah.
connecting with other people, linking in with the kitchen, knowing that actually what you're doing has value, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it does give you experience, and it gives you confidence as well to go out and do other things, which is absolutely vital in life, to be able to explore different avenues and different options. And I think, especially when you're young and things haven't gone the way you planned, you weren't necessarily planning on having children or that young or ever maybe. And so finding different avenues and different options that you might not have realised were there.
And
It's
sometimes that can
fantastic.
start with what most people would consider really small things, right? But other people consider big things.
Yeah,
So being able to get a bit of public transport to go to a place when you've got anxiety,
yeah,
or even get out in the bed in the morning if you have depression in order to connect with other
yeah,
people,
100%.
or being able to shower when you haven't showered for 4 days because your mind is saying you're worthless and you don't really need to be clean. Hey, who are you going to connect with anyway? And
Yeah,
you know, all of those core beliefs, I'm bad, I'm wrong, I'm unlovable, unloved, all of those feelings.
yeah. Some bindweed there.
So fundamentally, although it might be that eventually you learn those skills to get the job, to
Yeah.
feel valuable in the community, sometimes that starts with the really small steps.
Oh, 100%.
And so to acknowledge that and help other people acknowledge that in themselves,